Jesse, Justin from Epic Film Guys, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today, and
Thank you.
congratulations on the movie so far and all the success.
Thank you so much, Justin. Thanks for talking to me too.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. The movie is getting praised for its direction, performances, and character work. How personal was this project to you as a filmmaker and writer, and what was your initial inspiration?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, my initial inspiration was actually kind of just being curious about my family's history. My family, comes from this small town in Poland, and many people were killed in the war. A few people survived, and I've always been kind of curious about exploring that. And getting to do this movie allowed me to explore that even further. I mean, we actually shot this movie at the house that my family lived in up until 1939. And so it allowed me to kind of go back there and explore my family's history and then kind of express my own feelings about it through drama, through fiction, which is the way that's my livelihood is, kind of telling fictional stories, whether it be as an actor, writer, director, whatever, telling fictional stories that reflect my real feelings. So even as an actor playing, I see you're a Batman fan. I
Yes.
see like even playing a character like Lex Luthor, which is not a character that is similar to me. I'm still using it to express all my emotions. My character is angry at Superman for trying to take over the world, and he thinks he's a real threat to humanity. And in this movie, A Real Pain, my character David is angry at his cousin for taking over every group setting that they're in. And I like to think of these parts and these movies as all very personal for me because it's the way I know how to act. And, I know people didn't love me in the Superman movie, but I was acting in the way I know how to act, which is make it personal for myself. And so that's what this movie is, but to a much heightened degree because it's actually about my family history. And that's just the way I work. And in the case of this movie, it so happened that all of my personal curiosities and feelings actually came out in the story.
Wonderful. It somewhat seems like to play like a family buddy dramedy of sorts. Did you have any other movies in mind when you tackled the concept that possibly influenced the material?
It's funny. One of our producers is Emma Stone, and one of
Oh,
her
okay.
favorite movies of all time is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And when she first read the script, she was like, "Oh, I love it. It's like planes, trains, and automobiles." And I said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I guess it is." But I hadn't seen the movie, and
Oh, wow.
we'd be talking in meetings, and she would say, "Well, it's like that scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess it is," but I still hadn't seen the movie. And so finally, right before we went to Poland to scout for the locations, I watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is pretty great." It's a little more broad and comic than my movie, but that's probably speaking because of the time it was made. But it's great the way it has real emotional heart to it, even though it's pretty silly.
Sure. Um, the next question would be obviously the biggest question. What was it like working with Kieran Culkin? Uh, did you always know you wanted the two of you to play relatives? It seems almost like a match made in heaven on film.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for saying that, Justin. And I just chalk it up to pure luck. I had met Kieran one time in an audition for this movie Adventureland, and he was coming in to audition for a character that like kind of is supposed to like basically hit me in the groin. And he came in and actually did that in his audition scene, and he kind of like manhandled me and like grabbed me by the neck. And he was so good in the audition and also so aggressive. And when I was thinking about the dynamic in this movie about Benji and David, how David is like the stable one who has the, job and who paid for the trip, but Benji is the one who just comes in and takes over. It reminded me, I was like, oh yeah, that was what happened during this Adventureland audition. Like I was the one who had the part. Kieran was auditioning for it, and yet he like took over the room. And I thought, oh my God, that's exactly what this movie is. That's what this movie is. And I pictured us together and thought, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I could picture both of us in these roles in a way that just made me feel like it was family.
It seems like luck turned out into your favor in terms of the casting and the amazing chemistry the two of you have together.
Yeah,
This is not your first foray into stepping into the director's chair outside of, do your normal acting duties that you typically see you doing.
sure.
Is this something that you see yourself doing and focusing more on instead of acting, or just another part of the creative nature of filmmaking that you're interested in taking part in right now?
Justin, I have to be honest, I feel like a freelancer in a very unstable industry. I will sometimes not work for like 6 months and it kind of makes me nuts and I feel like I'll never work again. I just finished this movie, Now You See Me 3, but we've been waiting 10 years to do Now You See Me 3. And,
Right.
if I didn't do that movie, I wouldn't have had a job for the last 6 months. So I'm constantly trying to keep myself busy, which has included writing films and in my before that writing plays, which I would write a play every year and a half and perform it. And so I'm actually gearing up to start directing my new movie in March. And um, it's all because I'm trying to stay busy because I'm a freelance artist and, nothing, as people's parents will tell them, nothing is more unstable than being a freelance artist. And so I'm just trying to like stay busy and not go nuts is my purpose in life.
I can totally relate. I used to be a freelance graphic designer, so
Yep.
not
It's like,
nearly at the same caliber, but yes, totally
no, it's the same thing.
relatable.
It's like you don't know
Yeah,
where your next job is coming from, and it's a horrible place to be in.
sure. As a filmmaker, there's currently this huge ongoing discussion. I have to pick your brain for a moment. Within the world of filmmaking regarding the use of AI, I just wanted to know, as a filmmaker and an actor, what your take is on the subject of AI in filmmaking today.
Um, we already use a lot of it. I mean, we're shooting on digital cameras now, which is not artificial intelligence. But I think somebody would come from the past, from 20 years ago, and say, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you no longer shooting films?"
Right?
And so, my feeling in general about technology is, how can this technology help me tell the story I want to tell? And and so in that way, I guess I look forward to some versions of it. What I don't look forward to is like the basic, like, is the destabilization of the film industry by companies trying to save money by cutting out art. That would be bad. But I just don't feel like my movies and the things that I'm really interested in are going to be really affected by that. I think it's going to affect superhero stuff a lot quicker than it's going to affect my personal movies. Because the thing is that what makes the personal things that I'm making good is that there's an intimacy to there, and you can't generate that kind of thing through computers. So yeah, I guess I'm one of two minds. I look forward to technology that allows stories to be told and allows people maybe who don't have $1 billion to be able to make a movie. That's all great. But I also fear for, the way it might destabilize what an artist does so well.
Great point of view to have. And last question, you just mentioned it, comic book movies, they're always discussed. You've dabbled in the world. And just to mention, you mentioned Lex Luthor earlier. You're my personal favorite version on film of that character. So I just wanted to
You
let
are
you
in a
know
class of your own. Thank you.
we praised the hell out of it when that movie came out, and I still do
Oh,
to this
thanks.
day.
Oh,
James
thanks.
Gunn has his own Superman movie coming out. Nicholas Hoult is now playing the character. What advice would you give Nicholas in terms of portraying such an iconic movie villain?
Oh, it's the advice somebody asked me a few months ago, and I just said, don't, don't watch Mind, because I understand people didn't like me, and I hope people like his, and I'm sure he will be great, and he's a really good actor. And my only piece of advice would just be, make it your own. I did that, but maybe people didn't like that I did that. But that's the feeling, is like, I want to make this my own. And I worked with my acting coach on the movie, and we dealt into my personal life and why this part reflected all the feelings I have in the world. And, that's my general acting process anyway. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I hope he has a fulfilling experience.
Well, Jesse, it was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me from Epic Film Guys. I hope that the success of A Real Pain continues and flourishes, and you
Thanks.
enjoy all the benefits.
You're so kind. Thanks, Justin.
You're very welcome. Thank you.